Intro.
And welcome back to Watty and JR on the Edge.
Wow.
Dude, I kind of like admire you. I never really had that much energy when I do the intro. I don't know what it is.
It's that.
It's that oomph, that power. I got that power.
Yeah, that's a good song. Yeah. So, anyway, so now we'll start talking about the World Series. Lost up 1-0. Joe had the score up here. He said Cardinals are up 1-0 right now, right, Joe?
Yep.
What's the what inning are we in?
We're in the bottom five. Right?
Bottom five.
Yeah.
Bottom five.
So.
What's your expectations on this World Series? I know last night was a blowout. Boston, was just crushing the ball.
I honestly think this goes at 6, maybe 7 games.
Who takes it?
I don't know. I want to say the Red Sox, but I know the Cardinals can do it. And I just like this World Series. It's very evenly matched. Ratings wise, it's probably gonna suck just because St. Louis is all the way down here. Nobody really is following. The Cardinals, especially because in the Midwest,
everyone down
Chicago dominates the Midwest right now. Yeah. They're not paying attention to the Cardinals. They're watching the Hawks game right now.
Yeah, it's a crappy market.
So I mean, St. Louis, their sports fans are diehards. Like, don't get me wrong. My roommate's a diehard St. Louis guy, but they just don't have like that market that the Midwest has, or like the East Coast has, or like how the West Coast has, where there's if there's a sports team in a championship, that is going to be like everything that they care about is that team.
That'd be a good topic to talk about, like different markets and how a team becomes a strong sports market and stuff. Maybe we'll save that for another show.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Anyway, so it's. I mean, obviously ratings suck. Like, I was watching the Hawks game. I wasn't watching that World Series. I'd be honest with you. So you said it's very evenly matched.
I think so. I mean, the pitching. Yesterday Wainwright wasn't that good. He gave up 3 runs in the first and the 2 runs in the second. When you're down 5-0 in the World Series, it's really hard because it's playoff baseball. So everything that you do it's all about
right?
Getting really close to those details. So, it also doesn't help that Beltran got hurt early on in the game and he would have to be taken out. He's playing tonight, so that's a good sign. But I think this game was a fluke. It's one of those things like the Bulls last during the playoffs last year beat the crap out of Miami in Miami game 1 and they couldn't win another game. So I mean, it's definitely
that happened 2 years.
Yeah, it happened 2 years. So I mean, there's that could definitely happen here. I definitely see it going 6, maybe 7 games, like I said. So a winner. As much as I want the Red Sox to win, I think the Cardinals can take it. If their offense shows up, their pitching is there. If Wainwright, gets ready and is good for Game 5, I think they should be good. Game 4 or Game 5, I'm not sure exactly what which one he's going on, but Lester pitched a hell of a game last night. And like the offense of Boston, it's very potent. It's a very potent offense. So I completely understand that Boston can do a really good job. I don't anticipate them winning the next 4 games for sure. It'll definitely be a battle. So we'll see what happens.
As far as that's the thing. You brought up a good point there, talking about ratings and stuff, and they've had that problem over the past few years. It seems like the World Series, where it just doesn't live up to that level where they think it should be. I mean, why do you think that is? Is it just because like baseball in October is like it's a hard time to compete because you got the NFL going on, and even with hockey, I mean, starting going, which I know hockey's not big in the States, but or even basketball starting to come around. I mean, next Tuesday, Bulls. I mean, this Tuesday we got a big Bulls game. I mean, what do you think's the reason as far as like baseball not getting the ratings that they should, or that they?
Baseball's too long. Baseball's a 3 hour, 2.5, 3 hour game. of one person pitching the ball, one person catching the ball, one person hitting the ball, one person making a throw. It's it's team. It's a team sport, but it's definitely just it's kind of like a step by step sport. Um, I feel like it's also you also have to look at the different teams that have been in the World Series. Look at last year. Um, you had the Giants, and then you also had Detroit. Not necessarily the greatest markets to have World Series teams come out of. So I mean, you have these teams, and that's really one thing that's really hurting them is that these teams are teams that have been building for many years to get to this point. To get to these dynasty type points, dynasty type periods in the World Series. It's just hard, and had Detroit won instead of Boston, I think the World Series would actually be very irrelevant right now. Because like you said, basketball's starting up, hockey's in full swing right now, football is in the middle of their season. College football's in the middle of their season.
College football too. Yeah.
I mean, there's really a lot going on. That baseball kind of loses its focus because baseball is a summer sport. There's really nothing else going on besides baseball during the summer. So they're going to have the spotlight on them all the time. Now that they're sharing the spotlight, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm done with baseball. It's getting cold. Don't want to go to the games anymore. Don't even want to watch the games. I want to watch, football, where it's once a week. I want to watch basketball, where it's a couple times a week, or hockey. So it's one of those things where I feel like if they get a Chicago or if they get a Los Angeles in the World Series, I think you'll see the ratings skyrocket. I think the White Sox are they're still a few years away. Cubs are at least 2, maybe 3 years away from getting back to the playoffs. I mean, we never know. And it could be next year where they have a crappy first half, but then they really come out in the second half and make the playoffs. You never know. You never know. So, I mean, until you have those type of teams in the World Series, you're not going to have the big ratings. You're really not.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's really interesting to think about that whole topic about with the markets, and you talk about these crappy markets that are that are getting to the World Series. In any other sport, these crappy markets usually don't get to that level. I mean, hockey, you don't see a Florida Panthers make it to the conference finals,
Yeah.
Or you don't see in football, you don't see the Kansas City Chiefs are 7-0 right now, but God knows they may tank and go 8-8,
You never know.
You never know though, and you never really see low crappy markets really get to that level. Let me ask you something: is that the reason teams like a St. Louis or something like that? I know they built in the system and whatnot, but is it the reason why they're getting there too? Is it because there's not a salary cap in baseball?
That's the thing. When you think salary cap in baseball, or salary in general in baseball, you don't think of the Cardinals. A lot of the Cardinals players are homegrown talent. You're looking at the starter on the mound right now, Michael Wacha, homegrown talent, and Wainwright, homegrown talent. Alan Craig, the DH, homegrown.
But Boston, you think about cap.
Right? Boston, of course, you think about cap. You
Yeah.
got Victorino, Napoli,
David Ortiz.
David Ortiz. Yeah, a lot of people think that he came out through the Boston system. No, he was actually in Minnesota before he went to Boston. But the thing with Boston is they have a mix. I have a couple of players, a couple members of their pitching staff, like Clay Buchholz and John Lester, come out through the Boston system. You look at Dustin Pedroia, up in the Boston system. But other than that, Jacoby Ellsbury, another player, up in the Boston system. Other than that, it's all free agent signings. It's smart free agent signings. So I mean, with baseball not having a salary cap, I think there's always a cap in what teams want to spend. It's just I think it's kind of ridiculous that these guys play 162 ball games and get paid $25 million a year to do it. It's the same thing with basketball. You get paid $82 million, $25 million, a la Kobe Bryant, and you pay 82 ball games and then 16 playoff games if you make it to the finals and you win the finals. So you're playing, what 98.
But you get more than that if you make it to the playoffs. It's a bonus for them.
It's
and if they win, it's also another bonus. If they get there, the finals and stuff. Oh yeah, that's
all those media, contracts and stuff. Their payments or like their contracts go up because they hit all those incentives. So it is very different in baseball, and I don't think it has anything to do with that, like the whole contract situation. I don't think it has anything to do with how the ratings are in the World Series. Because I mean, you look at the Yankees; they have a almost $200 million payroll, and that's probably going to go up if they sign Robinson Cano this summer or this offseason. So I mean, they had almost $200 million payroll, and they didn't even sniff the playoffs. So I mean, it's one of those things where money's not going to buy you everything. It's
like that movie Moneyball. Have you seen that? Brad Pitt.
It's a great movie, and realistically, you're seeing a lot of teams do that. Like they're making smarter signings, not just throwing money out there like they are anymore. Look at the Cubs, given Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer, they're like Moneyball machines.
Theo Epstein's the guy that took the job of Billy Beane because he was the one that won them. Mm-hmm. He was there. He was the one that was GM that won the World Series.
Yeah, because in 2000, I believe it was 2004,
right?
No, because
they won in 04.
Yeah, they won in 04.
Epstein came there and
he took 01,
02.
03.
Yeah.
Because actually in 03 they had won 90 ball games.
Yeah.
And they got to the playoffs, but they lost in the division series. So they're really they're looking for somebody to take them over the top. And Billy Beane actually did sign. Like in that movie, he actually did sign the contract. It was general manager for a day until they realized, no, my heart's in Oakland. And now we're seeing, they were bad for a few years, but now we're seeing they've got a lot of homegrown talent, a lot of smart baseball moves.
Oakland, yeah, they were in playoffs again this year.
Yeah, that's one of those things where they're always the last couple of years they're always a game away. Like they always get to that 5-game series, then they win 2 games, and they can't finish it off. So, it's one of those.
It's funny that team had Jason Giambi.
Yeah, and then he went to New York, and he didn't win a ring there either. So, it's like, that's great, I guess, for Giambi. He went and got paid, but at what cost? He didn't win a ring.
So anyway. So with that, so it should be a good series. I mean, I think we're both leaning towards Boston. Hopefully, we kind of want Boston to win.
Yeah, I want Boston to win just because of my Cubs bias.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's nice to see the Cardinals win. They're a Class A organization.
Yeah,
they're one of the best organizations in baseball. I think they're one of the more underrated organizations in baseball.
So with that, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to start talking about the Chicago Blackhawks and the Chicago Bulls. D. Rose and the Clan are playing on Tuesday night against Miami, in Miami, raising the banner. So we'll talk about that. We'll get Joe's thoughts on that. So be right back, so stay tuned.
So we get it? I'm going to get it. So we get it?
No. You like this song?
Catch it.
So we get it?